I'm on, this is like my fourth hour of talking today. I just taught a 3-hour class to my script supervisors. Today, I'm mostly talking to my writers about how story editing made me a better screenwriter. I have both received notes as a story as a writer working with a story editor, and given notes as sorry, I lost my talking points. Here we go. Here's my talking points, guys. Daniela, get it together. Get it together, Daniela. For those who don't know me, I am a WGC screenwriter, story consultant, and screenwriting teacher. I've been training mostly comedy screenwriters in feature film and television since 2012. A lot of my passion for story editing actually came from teaching, so I will also talk about my teaching today. I have a very rare program in the world called Story Editor Studio, which is an annual program. I debuted it at Pacific Screenwriting Program as a test, and it worked out really well. And since then, we're now into our 6th cohort in 2026. I usually get a small and dynamic international cohort of story editors, development executives, producers, directors, sometimes picture editors, anyone who's got to give notes to writers in a meaningful way and or work professionally as a story editor. So I'll talk about that at the end, of course, as well. But today I'm really here to share my journey on how story editing made me a better screenwriter, like objectively a better screenwriter. I'll talk about why I feel that is what qualifies as better. The thing that I started to see over the years in my work is that a lot of brand new writers don't even seek out the help of a story editor until they have to. They don't include it as part of their process until, let's say, you get telefilm funding or a network or studio requires you to work with a story consultant. Usually people wait until that point to start to figure out how to incorporate a story editor into their process. Occasionally I'll get clients before that stage. Either they're my students and they saw the benefit of getting actionable notes that reflect their vision in my classes, so then they'll hire me for their next projects. For myself, when I was a newer writer, not brand new, like I was, but once I sort of figured out who I was as a writer, once I was confident I was going to go into the profession, as a professional writer, and I was eager to, because I started later in life as a writer. I'm also a script supervisor. I'm still somewhat active as a script supervisor as well. And I'll talk about a little bit about that because that also helped me in this journey as well. But once I knew who I was as a writer and I was determined to option a project to get into the union, I got into the Writers Guild in 2016. But once I was in those years of still early in my career, but figuring out who I was as a writer, I started to work with story editors. Now, it is really, really hard to find a good story editor who's great at the craft and also is very cognizant of preserving your voice, working with your vision. That's I think one of the reasons I started training story editors. There's really never enough of us who fulfill all those things. Very important things. And there's so many different kinds of writers too, so which would require different kinds of story editors. But I know that when I started to include story editors in my work as a writer, that things started to progress exponentially. Like the learning curve was greater, the feedback was greater, the quality of the work was stronger. Story editors are an informed early audience for your work, much like your script supervisor is if you're a director or producer, once you get to that level. But that's quite far ahead in the journey of a project. 90%, more than 90% of projects that are in development don't go into production, right? I don't know what the actual statistic is, but it feels like something like that. So many writers are in the zone of development much more commonly than I see them on the other end as in my work as a script supervisor when they're produced writers. So by that point, a lot of the script issues have been solved. Maybe new ones come up. But in my work as a script supervisor, by the way, side note, because I was doing that much longer than I've been a writer, I got to see showrunners and writers take notes, take studio notes, absorb those notes, for good, for better or for worse, and the way that they were able to incorporate it in the rewrite, and find the note under the note, like just the way that they were able to take the notes, it gave me a lot more confidence seeking out notes, because I wasn't, I learned not to be precious about them. I learned that on the floor, on the shooting floor, as a script supervisor. But as a story editor, as we're in working with a story editor, it just made me, and it helped me to embrace the process that much more. And when I say it made me a better writer, the more I learned about writing, and you learn more because a good story editor will ask you questions, will ask you some questions that make the work better, that help you clarify the work. They'll give you a sense of how an audience is interpreting your work, how an intelligent audience is interpreting your work. What is the difference between what's in my head and what's on the page? These are very, very important things to learn early on in the journey of your script, and in your journey as a writer too. So in a few short years of, I started story editing to some extent when I started teaching, because right now, I would say between my students and my private clients, I have easily, I've stopped counting at around 200 scripts. I've easily worked on 200 scripts at different, some from inception, some from when I work with students, it's often from inception. And then with my private clients, they can come to me as a story editor at different stages of their writing journey. So I've been blessed in a sense, because I was frustrated at, there's very, very few really strong story editors. I was driven to become one, and then also to teach that. Eventually I started teaching that. We're in our 5th year now, coming up. So I'm new to teaching story editing, but I've been really, really blessed by the students who find me, and the students I get to work with. And students, they're all super professional. My story editor studio cohorts are the most mature of my entire student body. And if you guys don't know, I have about 1,000 students in all different programs, across the different programs I teach. But my story editor studio cohorts are very specifically incredible writers, incredible people with incredible compassion. And as a story editor, so when I became a story editor, how that made me a better writer, for sure, it made me more compassionate to myself and to other writers, because you get to see the problems different writers have at different stages of their development. And there's so many different writers you get to work with, different voices. So as a writer, for example, later on in my journey as a writer, different directors would hire me with completely different voices to mine. I'm a comedy writing specialist, but I got to work with a few directors who don't work in comedy at all normally, and they hired me specifically to bring a more comedic bent to their work. And I'm talking about when they hired me as a writer. So my work as a story editor, being able to stretch outside my genre, which is comedy, because I get to, as a story editor, work in all different genres. It just developed my range. It helped me solve different problems with people while having that goal of preserving their voice, not imposing a voice on their work. That helped me as a writer when I got to work with directors who were quite different than the tone and genre that I write. So it's all very enriching, and it increases your learning curve as a writer, because 90% of scripts don't even go into production beyond the playground of the work that's on your desk as a writer, which is usually, there's always at least one thing on my desk as a writer. Now I usually have 2 or 3 that I'm continuously working on as a writer. There's all this other work that we can do in the playground of the scripts in development, the people who seek you out as a story editor with scripts in development. So it opens up a whole, you can be working on 10 different things sometimes. I try not to take on that many myself, because I have a lot of other things I do. Of course, I still work on sets sometimes, and I travel a lot. So I don't normally take on 10 clients, but I know story editors who do. One of my story editor studio alumni from last year was telling me that he's working on 18 scripts right now. That's exciting to me. I mean, I know he is a full-time story editor, so I know that he can take on that workload. But yes, it's exciting. Imagine what you would learn working with 18 different writers on 18 different scripts, which undoubtedly will have different genres, different story needs. That is, to me, a very exciting kind of dynamic work environment. What else? I mean, obviously, you become a faster writer. You become more able to, because you have to communicate with so many writers when you are a story editor, it becomes easier for you to clarify and communicate your thoughts in a more, and obviously, well, I don't know if it's obvious, but for me, the effect that has on my own writing is I'm able to see issues in my own work. Funny, like I haven't hired a story editor on my stuff since I've become one, even though they've brought so much into my world. I will probably once, at a certain point, you are required. Once you're at a network level or telefilm, you are required to bring on a story editor. Luckily, I know a bunch of them now because I've worked with them in my story editor studio. But it has helped me self-edit for sure. It has helped me well, there's times in your writing as a writer when you're in it, obviously, and you're not editing, you're in the primal sort of creation mode. But then there's a moment as a writer, there are times in the process when you step back and detach and you're able to do the editing. And when I'm in that detached editing mode, it's made me so much stronger, so much faster. It's helped me pinpoint problems in my own script and not judge myself. It has helped me not judge myself, because I see great writers who struggle with different things at different times in their scripts for different reasons. We're human. We have all different brains. It's sometimes hard to get distance from our own work. And definitely, if I was ever like really struggling with getting distance from my own work, I would definitely hire a story editor at that point, even at this stage. But yeah, eventually I'll be working with them again. Early on in my in my writing career, when I was confident enough to receive notes and work with someone, a different voice in the mix, and trust someone, that's a whole process in and of itself, but it benefited me greatly. Now that I do it, I tend to self-edit more, but it has made me definitely a stronger writer. And how do I know that it's made me a better writer? Well, besides the words flowing out of me with ease and the process becoming more streamlined and me being able to write faster, I've literally amassed a whole collection of laurels from all different notable film festivals, between grand prizes and finalists and semi-finalists and some quarterfinalists. I always tell people not to count the quarterfinalist stuff, but sometimes I'm still pretty happy if it's from a big festival. But yeah, there's a literal avalanche of laurels. I'm working with bigger and bigger and bigger names with each new project, so that makes me very happy. And I'm able to. I think it makes me a better collaborator, because even if you're not working with a writing partner, and I do often work with a writing partner, I'm still collaborating with the director or the producer as a screenwriter. And certainly as a story editor, we are required to have diplomacy, clarity, efficiency, empathy, and great communication. So all those things bleed into the rest of our work. And that the things that being a teacher and being a script supervisor have brought into the mix, they all contribute to the work. Everything we do in film and in screenwriting and on set, everything contributes to each other. Did I leave anything out? I'm basically, this is my waving the flag for thank you, story editors, and don't be shy to engage a story editor. Definitely, there's a whole process. I think on my YouTube channel, you'll find the video, how to work with a story consultant. That story consultant is just another word for story editor. Depends where you live in the world, or but it's the same thing. How to work with a story consultant. That video will go into detail about how you can find, select, and pre-interview a story editor that you will, it's important. It's important to find someone who's going to respect your voice, who understands your voice, and is going to bring out the best in you. That's very important, because you don't want to be writing. You don't want them to be working on a different movie than the one you're writing. So there's not enough of us. It's one of the reasons I started teaching story editing. I only teach it once a year because it is very labor intensive. If you don't know, do I have a link? I don't even remember if I posted a link to this. Let's see. I might not have, but I will post it below the video. Just looking at all my links. I have way too many things I talk about on my YouTube channel. But anyway, it's in the link tree in my bio on Instagram and also on YouTube and link tree. You'll see a link tree and one of them says Story Editor Studio. It'll give you information. The next cohort begins January 25th and we wrap by Easter, March 29th, I think. We're going to be working on, as we always do, 14 different scripts from all different genres in that class. That's in the last 7 weeks, and the first 3 weeks are about 10 hours of training. But I believe that the real work and training as story editing comes in the doing, and that's why there's so much doing in that program, and that's why there is so much emphasis on the practicum and why we work on such a wide variety of genres. And scripts. You can't pay for the kind of film school that working on, I mean, I guess you can, but I'm saying there's no film school where I got to personally work on 200 scripts and learn a lot about myself as a writer, about the writing in general, and to stretch in different genres. Hi, Melissa. Sorry about that. I can smell them from here. Melissa Adams on YouTube says she just got back from the gym. Well, okay. I don't know if you're a writer, but hello. Hi, Melissa. Nice to meet you and your smelly feet. It's always fun going live. You never know who is tuning in. But if you actually have like a question about story editing, I'm totally here for it. So with my Story Editor Studio program, I'm pre-interviewing for it right now. So if you're tuning in because you are interested in story editing as a profession, you do have to have some amount of experience as a screenwriter in order to do that course. But actually, I have accepted people who weren't screenwriters, but they have to work regularly. Hi, Reckless Tenacity. They have to work regularly with writers in some capacity. So we've had producers, we've had writer directors who wanted to get stronger on the writing side, because yes, you do get stronger as a writer when you train as a story editor that intensely. We work with real writers who bring scripts in. Sometimes the people, the writers, the people in Story Editor Studio, you get first dibs on whether you want to bring one of your own scripts or one of your clients' scripts, because we do get working story editors in the program. We get development executives. Really, I guess secretly, I initially sort of hoped that we'd get a lot of development executives, because there's always I find there's generally not enough training for development executives on how to give feedback with empathy. Yes, I can. Yes, I can, Melissa. Woo! Sorry. But anyway, I'm pre-interviewing for it. If you click on my link tree and go to the course page, there'll be my email address where you can book a 20-minute Zoom with me, and we can talk about whether it's the right time for you. And if you're interested, and if you want to know more about the program, I'm here for it. Every year I offer an early bird discount. So you get $200 US off the cost of the program. I've still kept it at the same price for years. The program itself is $997 US, and you get $200 off if you end up registering and applying before December 1st. People are hilarious, you guys. If you have any questions about story editing or Melissa Adams' feet, I don't actually know how sweaty she is right now, but she's really, really concerned with it. No, or anything at all, just reach out. I'm here. I basically, the takeaway from today, besides that you can train to be a story editor, if it's something that actually calls you, if you were as frustrated as I was when I was beginning writing at I was surprised at the lack of, thank you. Ali says it's an amazing program. Ali is one of the people I will actually refer to you to if you're looking for a story editor. She's quite incredible. She's been a guest at many iterations of the program after she graduated from the program. I only do it once a year. It's a lot of work for me, obviously, and also for you. So only commit to it if you've got time, because it is like we do a 3-hour session every Sunday. Time of day will depend because we get Europeans, we get Australians, we get North Americans and Brits. So it really depends on who is in the cohort. So if we have a heavy concentration of Europeans, we'll have to figure out a time of day that works for everybody. 2 to 5 p.m. has been generally the time. Yes, Ali agrees. It is very hard to get good notes. This is very worth it. Oh, yes. So even if you don't apply for the cohort, but you want notes on your script, don't be shy to send me your script. Same email address that's on the course page. We need to work on 14 scripts of different genres. I don't actually judge the scripts that are sent. I just try to choose a whole mix because obviously as story editors, you're going to get to work with writers at all different stages of their development. So, and at different stages of the process. So I will accept one feature treatment, for example. We'll do a few feature films. We'll do a few 1-hour TV pilots. We'll do some half-hour pilots. They'll be from all different genres. Last year, we even did 3 short films as part of the mix of stuff, of projects that we worked on. So it's really, I think it's really hard to get that much experience concentrated in a 3-month program, less than 3 months, really 10 weeks. And yes, and if you don't participate as a story editor, certainly like it's a great place to get free notes. Free notes. We don't charge the people for their notes. And even though it's students giving you notes and myself as well, they're quite, as I said, quite mature in their development in the industry. So a lot of them, like some of my best, it's wild. A couple of my best people were picture editors on huge shows for several years, and they just wanted to be able to give the writer in the room with them when they were editing stronger notes. Yeah, I've had film jurors, grants jurors who film festival jurors, but also grants jurors who had to evaluate the potential of a screenplay. So I hope this talk was somehow enlightening. Let me know if you have any more questions. I'll stay on for a few more minutes. Sorry if you got lost in the technical. There were some technical issues at the beginning, and I'm not on the original link that I was supposed to be on. So I hope everyone, you'll find me eventually in the replay. I'll send it to everyone. Yeah, just feel free to reach out. We're here. The program is here. We have some good, I've had some excellent feedback about the program. There's testimonials on the page. But also, even whether you join me in the program or not, don't underestimate the value of working with a good story editor, or working with any story editor, but working with a good story editor will change your life. Believe me, it will help you see things from a brand new angle, and it'll help you get your draft done faster and have it be more market ready. I've been very lucky. A number of my students and clients have sold their projects. Very, very, very lucky. Very few projects get optioned and sold in this country. So in any country, let's face it. Okay, great. Well, if there's no questions, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you, and have a great rest of your Sunday. I'll start by, wait a minute. Is this, I think I hit the wrong button. I'm just having thank you, Mercury retrograde. Bye.